Hello, Starscream back again, this time for a Transformers review, and this is going to be the first part because I know my camera's not great, so I can give you some information and background story on the character, and then to actually emphasise the toy and the character, be fair to it in all fairness. That's quite a conundrum. Alright, look, as you've probably read from the description, it's Metroplex, and what a great toy. I have, this is not a reissue, this is one I've had for years, and as you can see, he's probably seen better days. He's missing a few missiles, the little black cars, have a gun. I'll go into detail on my second part of the actual toy, more so than I am now. One of the features on Metroplex, which I found quite bizarre, but at the time you just took it for granted, that's what they've done with toys, is there's a point here and a point if you remove his knees. I have no idea why his knees come off. Well, I do have an idea, but I think it's a strange design. You can attach the aerial bots or any of the other changes. I mean, you could attach, I don't know, the Decepticon combiners if you wanted. You could attach parts of, I don't know, Onslaught, if you'd want to, or Menacer. But there you go. Yes, Stunticon's attached to him. But there you go, that was a key feature, and all I can see that it actually does for the figure is it makes it slightly blocky and more odd looking. He's not really a combiner, he's the Autobot base. Anyway, back to Metroplex, the actual character. I'll try and, this is slightly, it's not complicated, it's just odd. Okay, as we know, there was a Japanese episode called Scramble City, and that was written for him. It was supposed to tie in the original Season 2 into past Season 3 and beyond, well, into Season 3. But as you know, the Japanese don't recognise the movie. That's why in Headmasters After you got people like Prowl and stuff popping up. Well, as we know, they died in the shuttle, but because they don't accept the film, they just carried on using the characters. So Metroplex is introduced actually before the film. I mean, we only ever see Metroplex actually in the Five Faces of Darkness, and I think he appears in the last episode, Transformed, because, as we know, at the beginning of the episode, they're trying to get the transformation cog. Now, the story goes that in the movie, apparently it's witnessed that manually Metroplex is transformed, and I think this is before he has some form of intelligence or spark, something along those lines. Now, I may be wrong, but the story goes that he transformed in the Great Battle, was damaged, and his cog was destroyed. That's why in the Five Faces of Darkness, they're trying to obviously rebuild Autobot City, and considering that he was part of Autobot City, they're trying to get him to transform, because he rarely transforms. So up until that point, it wouldn't have been of any consequence that you didn't ever see him, because he never transformed. But because of the onslaught on the Great Battle, he transformed for that occasion, but in doing so, he got damaged and his cog was destroyed. So, that's something you never see. Obviously, in the film it would have been nice, and it made a bit of sense. So, as far as the European and the American viewers were concerned, the first time you see him is in the Five Faces of Darkness, and it's probably quite, in fact, the first time you've ever heard of him, other than in the toy line. But actually, he had appeared, as I said, in the Japanese episode Scramble City, which is the name for him, if I recall. And Ultra Magnus is trying to get him activated in time to stop Trypticon, the Decepticon equivalent, which I might do a review of sometime if anybody's interested. And there we go, he continues through Season 3. There was a lot of bickering between fans originally, but that he's as big as Brave Max. Now, we can see as the toy stands here, he's nowhere near as big as Brave Max. But as you watch the cartoons, you come to think, well, in all fairness, considering the size of the Transformers, and when he's transformed into the base mode, and when he's standing upright, he should be the same size. But he isn't. He's nowhere near it. And even the comics, I think, back that up as well. It doesn't have a great comic run. The only one that I can remember is when the Quintessons try to take over Autobot City, and him being part of it, they try to run Metroplex and have him wreak havoc among the Autobots. With help, I think it was Hot Rod now, not Rodimus Prime, manages to thwart their wicked diabolical schemes. And Needless to say, they end up regretting it, as the Quintessons usually do. As I said, the comic run, that was it. I mean, from what you'd have off the comic run, apparently it was very difficult for Metroplex to transform because they built him into Autobot City. So he sort of had to tear himself out of it to transform. And I think that's quite unpleasant, isn't it? So that was the story continuity in that. There's a little bit more, but as I said, a character, there's not a great deal going on. I mean, oh, Metroplex did good. It's pretty much all you get out of him. It's good in Starscream's Ghost or Ghost of the Machine. I keep harping on about that episode, don't I? I mean, a lot of my reviews end up recommending that as an episode. And yet again, I think it featured some of the more prominent characters, and he was one of them. And what it is Starscream is sent to steal his eyes for Unicron's head, which they're trying to reactivate, which they do, but part of the deal to get Starscream's own body back is to steal eyes, and he thinks Metroplexes would be a good deal. As it happens, they get sort of like spooked, drop one of them, breaks it, and only steals one in the end. They've taken them both out, break one and steal the other. And Metrokex goes, Metrokex? Who the hell is Metrokex? I've developed a new character. And yet again, I will say there is a blue Decepticon variant which the Japanese released, but it wasn't the name that I just called it. And I'm afraid I can't remember, but it's irrelevant because I'm not talking about him, I'm talking about him. So as you know, there's a Decepticon blue variant of this toy. It has all the same bits and bobs, weapons that you can lose. My one's missing all the missiles, unfortunately. When I do the second part of this review, I'll tell you about the little chaps and fellas that come with him, or little robots, I suppose. Not little chaps and fellas, are they? The only one that features in the film, or the series, if I recall, is Six Gun. And when that's when the Dinobots are being accused of stealing things. Well, Grimlock being the prime culprit at the time. But there you go. That is Metroplex. He's had an interesting run. I think he makes a great base. It's a toy to look out for. I know there's a reissue that's just been released on the market. And the reissue, unlike my one, which I'll probably mention again, is it's got the whole gold legs parts. Gold? I'm going colourblind now. Silver! He's got the whole silver leg bit going here. And the metal wheels. I've got one of the average Joe plastic wheels, plastic legs with a little bit of sticker put on it. But I don't mind because it's the original one. But if you can pick up the reissue, I think they're going for about 50 quid. I think it's a bargain. Because it wasn't a lot cheaper when he came out years ago when I got him. There we go. That is Metroplex. And he's taking the limelight. How dare you. There we go. Alright, that's part 1 of the review done. Be sure to check out part 2. I'll give you a rundown of the transformations of the toy and the accessories that come with it to my best of my knowledge, okay? Hope you enjoyed that. Look forward to seeing any comments you may or may not put down. Just watching is probably quite an achievement for everybody for watching my reviews, isn't it? But hey ho, I enjoy doing it, and I hope some people enjoy listening to it. Anyway, that's Starscream signing off. I'll see you all out there and see what I do next. Take care.